Hi, this is your Sapin Bhartiya, and we are back with our yearly prediction video series. And today we have with us once again Kolton Andrus, CEO and founder of Gremlin. Kolton, it's great to have you back on the show.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Before I ask you to grab a crystal ball and share your predictions with us, please remind our viewers what is Gremlin all about and the core problem you folks are going to solve heading into 2026.
Yeah. So Gremlin is focused on building reliable distributed systems, making it easy to uncover failures, risks, problems in your system before they become an outage and preventing that outage altogether. And our mission in 2026, good news doesn't really change. Don't think reliability is going anywhere. And as we'll get to, I actually think it might get a little worse. So I think our mission, remains true here.
Now it's time for you to grab a crystal ball and share your predictions or major shifts you expect to see in the industry this year.
Yeah. I always love a little revelation, technical revelation. What's coming? What do we think is going to happen? So as I thought about this, one thing that really struck me is data. Data is becoming important again, and it seems like it ebbs and flows. But who owns the data? Where is the data? Who has control of the data is going to be, I think, a pretty hot topic. And I think that comes in a couple of different forms. If I'm a large corporation, all of the tribal data and knowledge that we've accumulated internally is the data we want to feed into LLMs, feed into AI so that we have accurate, actionable information. But I don't necessarily want that data leaving my walls or out in the public. So how do we reconcile, what's good for, individual companies with what benefits the masses? So yeah, I think data is going to be a big one. And then the other side of data is how are we training these models? We've been training them off, a lot of different sources. Some of those are just, the internet at large. And I think there's going to be a push for higher quality data sources and a bit of cleanup, a bit of making sure things are really accurate. And so I think that leads to my second point, which is I think we're going to go through a bit of the trough of disillusionment with AI. I think that, we've been sold some pretty high expectations over the last 2 years. And we've definitely made forward progress. So I'm not here to be a hater and say things are, not going to work at all. But I think that the promise that we've been given has been going to be hard to fulfill. I think we've seen a lot of investment and a lot of companies that have put a lot of time and effort into solving these really hard problems. And, the first year or two of a company, you get a lot of leeway and it's a lot of, let's see where things go and people are along for the ride. I think, a couple of years in, people are going to start demanding results. And that's going to force a lot of these companies to make hard decisions about, yes, this is good enough or no, it isn't. And I think that, those two kind of come together with this data quality and reality check of 80% is not going to be good enough for most of the things we need to do. There's a class of problems where 80% is good enough. And honestly, we've automated a lot of those problems in infrastructure, in code, in other places. But as businesses and as a society, we really can't operate with an 80% accuracy. We need something that is accurate, trustworthy, and credible. And so I think that's where we're going to see that push on the data we have, on how it's accurate it is, on where it's coming from to help improve the models themselves. And I think that's what's going to help push us on the product and the company side. We've got a lot of fluff. We've got a lot of great ideas that maybe are lacking execution. We're going to see a lot of the chaff be separated here as, some companies figure it out and they're able to, transition into being large, valuable companies. But a lot of companies are not going to make it. And I think we're going to see that, there's some good news there. I think that'll leave a little bit of room. I think the venture capital industry has been pretty choked on AI for the past year or two. And I think there's a lot of other good problems out there that still need time and attention and to be solved well.
What are some of the biggest challenges or bottlenecks organizations will face when trying to adapt to these changes?
Yeah. So I think, again, part of the AI hype is we've got a lot of sunk cost. I think a lot of companies and a lot of teams have a mandate that they need to go figure it out. There's a lot of FOMO, fear of being left behind here, where people are saying, we have to go all in on this. And I'm hearing this on a regular basis from my customer base. Hey, how can we use AI to solve this problem? And I think that's a great intent. But this, again, you got to step back and say, is this a right problem for AI to solve, or should we be solving it another way? I think the other challenge we're going to see is this desire in the industry to move fast has led to, this term of vibe coding. And vibe coding isn't, to me, it's great for prototyping. It's great for quick, figuring out of a problem. But I don't think vibe coding is going to meet that enterprise standard as we go to market and for these large companies. And so I think vibe coding is going to lead to a lot of vibe failures and vibe outages that are going to require people to really go back and rethink some fundamentals and go back and, make things higher quality, more resilient, more reliable.
What are some of the biggest opportunities that will arise from these challenges?
Yeah, I think, selfishly for us at Gremlin, this is going to lead to a lot of opportunity for companies to go improve their quality and their reliability. And, on one hand, I think this is a very solvable problem. There's a set of basic steps we can take to mitigate a lot of risk and test a lot of these vibe coded applications or these enterprise applications to make sure they're just up to snuff. So I think just like we'll see people push for a quality, an increase in quality, as a whole, I think we'll see companies see and reflect that and want to push up their quality there.
What actionable advice you have for enterprises? What should they start doing now to be ready?
Yeah, I think the good advice here is don't ignore the fundamentals. Don't forget the basics. There's a lot of basics we've learned in software engineering, and it's not time yet to throw the book out the window. Hire good teams, build quality software, do good testing, have a clear vision, articulate it well. I think, leverage AI, but don't let it do the thinking for you. I think this is the trap I see, out in the common world is some folks think because AI is good at a handful of things, it's good at everything. And, we should be using it for what it's good at, but we should be keeping our own thinking. We should be doing our own thinking, keeping sharp about what we think the most important problem to solve for our customers or for our teams, so that we're not getting caught up in the hype and really wasting time. And I think that's the biggest, risk that goes along with these fundamentals is it's not that I think things are going to crash and burn. Hopefully not. And hopefully the outages are all, tolerable and we can work through them. But I think it's just the potential to waste time while we're off, exploring new things. And a certain portion of that's healthy. So if we keep it to our 10, 20% time where we're playing around and we're learning and we're experimenting, great. But we shouldn't abandon the fundamentals along the way.
What is going to be your and Gremlin's focus or priorities this year to help customers navigate this future?
Yeah. So one of the things we like to say at Gremlin is we like to make it easy to do the right thing. And I think this is one of the places where the current trend in AI can be a great benefit for us. How do we provide good recommendations? How do we provide good guidance? How do we provide good context when something goes wrong? How do we do the log searching and the metric parsing in advance so our customers have the data they need at the fingertips to make the right decisions and to go fix the problem quickly? And I think along that same lines, we want to move fast. The industry wants to move fast. We want to make it easy to go do the fundamentals and cover your bases without losing that velocity. And I think that's the ideal utopian world we live in, where we're moving fast. We're using the tools we have to automate and quickly accomplish the tasks that we need. But we're still, focused on those fundamentals and just building great software and solving customer problems, not out inventing new problems for our customers to worry about.
Kolton, thank you so much for joining me and share these predictions with us. I didn't want to put any pressure, but I would love to have you back on the show at the end of this year to get the next set of predictions for 2027 and also to check how many predictions turn out to be true. Thanks for your time today, and I look forward to chat with you again.